You're fine, Garrett. Everything that I have, I built. How long before he takes it?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 action science fiction film Code 8 Part 2. The film is co-written and directed by Jeff Chan and it stars Robbie Amell and Stephen Amell, as well as Alex Malari Jr., Serena Goulangiaus, and I'm sure I've pronounced that terribly, Aaron Abrahams and Moe Judy Lamour. Right, okay, this is the sequel to the 2019 film Code 8, which is a film I have watched and covered on this channel, although I'm going to be really honest here, I don't remember a great deal about it. So it can't have been that memorable, can it? However, we have got a sequel and it's gone straight to Netflix, the sequel. And this time round, Robbie Amell's character Connor is released after 5 years in prison. He went to prison and kept his mouth shut in regards to Stephen Amell's character Garrett, who is like some kind of crime boss. Now, this is a world set in the near future where about 3% of the population have special abilities, i.e., superpowers. And these powered people, there's laws against them, basically. And there's like this task force, police force that's been put together to police them. Robbie Amell's character is a level 4 powered person. He can do like things with electrics. Stephen Amell's, can levitate things. He's a bit like Magneto. And there's a whole host of others that have got these powers. So after he is released from prison, he comes across a little girl, Pavani, who witnesses her brother being killed by a corrupt police officer and his robot team of dogs. These dogs they've told the public that these dogs are harmless and not to worry about them, but they're anything but. So she seeks Connor's help, and he goes on the run with her and asks Garrett, Stephen Amell's character, to help them. This leads them into a head-on collision with the corrupt police sergeant in charge of this task unit to get to the truth. Right, what are my thoughts on Code 8 Part 2? Well, as I mentioned, I don't honestly remember a great deal about the first one. I remember thinking it was, reasonable. I remember it being like, a super powered film with not a great deal of superpowers in it. So from my perspective, and again, this is, I haven't refreshed my review or anything from the first one. This feels a better film than the first one. It's bigger. You get to see more powers in this one. I was more invested in the story. But, if they end up making a third one in 3 years' time or 4 years' time, I could be saying exactly the same thing. I don't remember much about the second one. Because I don't think this is like massively exciting, massively memorable, or anything none of us haven't seen before and done much better. But at the same time, I certainly wasn't bored watching this. I thought the effects were of a really high standard. You've got like these robot sentries, which are look like in the human form, and then you've got this new sentry, which is like a robot dog, and they're both done really, really well. And then you've got a pretty decent villain, this like sergeant in charge of this task force, who is harboring his own secrets. He's very corrupt. He shows the public one face, and in actual fact, he's got his own agenda. And you get you're quite invested in this story because we've got this little girl who sees her brother getting killed by these corrupt police. She needs protection, and she's got her own unique gifts, superpowers sort of thing. So they've got to get this evidence that proves that this task force is corrupt in order to kind of save themselves, really, and save their own kind. So it's like, they're constantly on the run here. They're constantly trying to think of a new plan. But also at the same time, you've got Stephen Amell's character, Garrett, who in in one hand he's saying, yes, I'll help you, I'm going to help you, but he's always kind of got his own agenda in the other hand. You never really feel like you can trust him, and when you do start trusting him, you feel a bit of a fool. You know what I mean? He's a character that you really want to trust, but you can't, sort of thing. And it works quite well. He's like, he's just kind of hovering over the line between good and bad. And you've got this Connor character, Robbie Amell, who is, really desperate to kind of do the right thing by this girl and make sure that she's well protected. So, yeah, there's some good moments in this film. The action when we get it is decently laid out. There's a good climax to the film, if not a little bit predictable. There's some tense moments here and there in the film, and I remember when I put this film on, in my head I was kind of thinking, like after the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm thinking, this isn't working, it's not clicking with me. So you've got to kind of get over the first hurdle. Now, because it's quite a slow start, and it's almost like it expects you to know what's gone on in the first film. And I do say this quite a lot. If it's a sequel to a film that is not, widely known or something, I think it could do with a summary at the beginning of the film as to what happened in the first film. I just think that would be helpful. Some big budgeted films do that. But also at the same time, I don't necessarily think, strictly speaking, you need to have seen the first one and known every single thing that happened in it. Other than like the first 10 minutes where, I think there is a little bit of an assumption of it. After that, it actually feels like it's a decent standalone film from a large perspective. So if you haven't seen the first one, or you can't access the first one or whatever, you could probably watch this and get away with it without seeing the first one. But, they're both easily out there to watch at the same time. So, yeah, I don't think this is anything, incredibly memorable or, again, it's not one of those films that's going to feature on many people's end of the year lists for good or bad films. It's just kind of there, entertaining, well made, decent effects, good performances, memorable villain. And yeah, I had a decent time watching this one. So yeah, I would say certainly if you're a big fan of the first one, you're going to enjoy this one. I don't remember being a big fan of the first one, so I would say I prefer this over the first one. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.